Imagine getting a call that a young relative of yours is about to be placed in foster care, but you never even knew the child existed. It's a reality more people are experiencing. Agencies can place foster care children with relatives or close friends. But for decades, many states barely used the practice called kinship care. Now some agencies are finding ways to pair children with family or friends, thanks to research showing foster kids fare better with people to whom they're already tied. But kinship care hasn't caught on as much as it could because many foster care systems are designed to favor traditional, licensed foster parents. Zed Jelani is a part of a team at NewsNation exploring solutions to America's biggest problems. He joins us now for more on this original reporting. First, Zed, thank you so much for being here, but tell us about the woman you met, Victoria Gray, who received a call 30 years ago about a grandchild she didn't even know was alive.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. So Victoria Gray was a grandmother in Arizona, but she didn't know that she was a grandmother in this case. She was told that her son had conceived of a child along with a woman who was homeless. I believe her son also had some drug issues. And that child was going to be placed into foster care. And she didn't want a child who had a series of ailments herself, including, I believe, some ailments related to, she had a hole in her heart. I think she had contracted syphilis and herpes thanks to the mother's condition. And she didn't want that child going into a foster care system and being raised by a stranger. So she stepped up, she went to court, and she won sort of holding of that child from the agency. And she decided to raise her as a granddaughter, as many grandparents, I think, would for their children. The rub was that she received very few resources to help her in doing so, right? She got something like, I think it was a low double-digit number of dollars a month, just basically to help her with diapers. Because at that point, they really weren't recognizing family members who step up to play that role of foster parents if they weren't licensed foster parents. And that's really been the challenge here, is that you have these incredible family members or in some cases, close family friends who step up and say, we want to take care of these children if their parents can't do it. But they often don't have the access to the same amount of resources as those sort of professional licensed foster parents who've been doing it for years and years. And I think that's where the reforms that states are trying to make are coming in.
Well, I think if you've not been directly affected by foster care, it's something a lot of people don't know about. And I think another question is, how is the foster care system set up in most places concerning relatives and close friends versus licensed foster parents?
Yeah, so traditionally, those licensed foster parents have been sort of the place of first resort when you have these social workers and caseworkers who identify a family where they think those kids do need to be taken into custody because there's something either neglect or abuse, or maybe the parents have fallen deeply ill, or any number of cases. And so they typically like to go to that sort of stable of people they worked with in the past, people who are on their roles, who've been vetted, who they know well. And I think that's why this system has traditionally been tilted towards those foster parents and also towards group homes, which I think in many places are actually being phased out now because those were associated with all manner of, I think, neglect and abuses and just really bad outcomes for kids. And so what happened is I think over the years, they started to understand that when kids were placed with kinship care, which is a kin is usually a relative or like a grandmother, aunt, and uncle, or it can also be like a close family friend or maybe a coach at school or somebody that the child knows. When kids are placed with those people instead, they usually have a better sense of stability, a permanency. I think it's less traumatizing. Sometimes the kids can stay in the same community or the same school. So they tend to do better in those scenarios. So states have been more and more, what they've been doing has been trying to get those caseworkers to actually go and reach out to the family, identify them first, and see if a relative can take some of these kids in. New Mexico, for instance, recently put into place a process where they actually have to have a manager's approval if they don't place one of those kids with a family member. And because of that, they've gone from something like 3% or some single-digit percent of kids being placed with family to almost half of them now being placed in that kinship care situation. So I think the states right now are in that transition where a lot of them are really starting to focus much more on this simply because that's what the research shows, that kids tend to be better off in that situation.
Zed Jelani, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
a
you.
lot of people need to know about foster care system.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.